The perpetual haze never lifted over the ruins of what was once the Dream Weaver's Guild. The air tasted of bitter dust and forgotten hopes. Here, among the spectral echoes of vanished futures, lived Elias Vance, a man whose past was a tangled knot of bad decisions and mischances. He was a chronos salvager, picking through the temporal debris of timelines that never quite materialized, always looking for a way to profit from what didn't happen. His ship, the Temporal Eddy, was a patchwork of temporal distortions, a vessel designed to exist just slightly out of sync with normal reality. Today, however, the cosmic winds carried something far more chilling than a forgotten yesterday. The unfolding truths had arrived. They weren't a fleet or a race, but a growing tide of absolute revelation, a fundamental force that compelled all entities to perceive and embrace all truth, all reality, all possible futures, and all pasts simultaneously. They saw any form of illusion, fantasy, hope, or even simple not knowing as a dangerous, unstable anomaly. They were the universe's ultimate unveilers, seeking to return all existence to a state of pure, unvarnished, undeniable reality, seeing imagination and self-deception as sources of cosmic error. On the Temporal Eddy's bridge, Elias watched the tactical display. A vibrant, thriving civilization, the Etherian Ascendants, known for their collective illusions and shared dream realities, simply blinked out of existence. Not destroyed but utterly overwhelmed by the sheer, unvarnished reality of their own existence, their collective dream state shattering. "There go the Ascendants," Elias muttered, a phantom headache throbbing behind his eyes. "They say it feels like undreaming, like you never believed it in the first place." His co-pilot Jinx, a perpetually optimistic alien who believed every problem had a delightful, quirky solution, frowned, her usually bright, multifaceted eyes now looking glazed. "Captain, my internal probability calculator just revealed every single embarrassing thing I've ever done simultaneously. I need a moment." "What was this thing? How did you fight an enemy that simply erased what you chose not to see, what you hoped for, or what you simply couldn't comprehend? And why was humanity, a species famous for its capacity for self-delusion, its rich inner worlds, and its love for fiction, the only one who seemed to have a chance against it? The unfolding truths were not born. They simply emanated from the nexus of pure reality eons ago. They were a distributed consciousness, a vast, ancient network of absolute, inescapable fact. They perceived all forms of perception that were not purely objective, all beliefs that were not empirically verifiable, and all projections of future or past that were not absolutely fixed as a source of cosmic distortion. Their singular directive was the great unveiling, to draw all perception back to ultimate, unified, undeniable truth. They didn't destroy with force, they simply absorbed with perfect, fundamental revelation. Countless civilizations, once complex and varied, were unveiled. The story singers, beings whose entire lives revolved around creating intricate, ever-changing narratives and myths, found their very fictions gently dissolved. Their intricate tales, deemed a temporary distortion of universal reality, were drawn back into the unfolding truths, their myths vanishing into cosmic fact. Their unique, imagined existences became their pathway to ultimate, undifferentiated reality. The Hope Weavers, species who sustained themselves on collective aspirations and the belief in impossible futures, saw their very convictions simply cease to be. The unfolding truths embraced their purpose, but absorbed every subjective belief, every unfounded dream, leaving only the cold, hard, inescapable present. Their aspirational, subjective forms became their pathway to absolute, unified realism. Each species, in its core nature, offered the unfolding truths a logical pathway to unveiling. Their very subjective experiences, there being something other than pure fact, made them ideal candidates for reduction to nothing but truth. And now, its vast, silent pull was approaching the human sector. As the truth's nullifying field approached human colonies, the initial effects were unsettling. Not chaos or destruction, but a sense of profound absence of illusion. Art lost its meaning, as underlying truths were revealed. Entertainment felt bland, as every twist was known. Even personal identities felt less defined as every self-deception, every comforting lie, every imagined future or alternative past became starkly, inescapably clear. People looked at their own lives and felt a subtle, unnerving loss of their own narrative. But then, the unfolding truths encountered something they couldn't simply absorb. Humanity's profound, often illogical, capacity for self-delusion, for embracing comforting lies, for inventing fantastical narratives, and for simply ignoring uncomfortable realities. Humans excelled at believing what they wanted to believe, at creating elaborate internal worlds, and at finding profound meaning in utter fiction. And in Elias' case, he'd spent his life navigating unrealized timelines, betting on futures that never happened, and building his very existence on ignoring the consequences of his past. Captain Lyra, the Temporal Eddy's resident philosopher-engineer, whose own constant internal debates were now a cacophony of contradictory thoughts, shrieked, "The truths are trying to reveal our most basic self-deceptions. But it's having trouble with human denial. Its field is fluctuating." Elias squinted at the display. The truths were trying to absorb basic human coping mechanisms. Believing a bad situation would get better, ignoring clear evidence, clinging to romanticized memories. But human minds, even when faced with the direct revelation of these truths, instinctively tried to reconstruct new illusions, or simply act as if they knew nothing of the new, harsh realities. A crewman just saw a projected image of his own death, calmly announced it was just a simulation, and then immediately started planning his retirement. "Huh," Elias grunted, a strange, grim smile touching his lips. "Never thought our stubborn blindness could be so ununveiling." Lyra, her eyes gleaming with manic excitement, a stark contrast to her previous distress, stared at the data. That's it, their weakness. The truths want to reveal pure, fundamental reality, but human illusion. It's so layered, so self-sustaining, so meaninglessly resilient in its construction, it resists fundamental absorption. It's a cognitive paradox. You're saying our sheer, unadulterated ability to lie to ourselves is our defense? Elias asked, a desperate, almost manic laugh escaping him. Precisely, Lyra declared, her voice rising with a strange, almost joyful abandon. They want to reduce everything to cosmic fact. We give them cosmic fiction of endlessly reinvented narratives. We amplify the delusion. We become the universe's ultimate, unreadable fantasy. The plan was codenamed Operation Dream Shield. Humanity would flood the unfolding truth's nullifying field not with hidden data, but with unquantifiable, non-erasable, and defiantly fabricated realities. Every human settlement, every ship, would begin purposefully creating and believing new, contradictory personal narratives, inventing wildly impossible histories, and engaging in collective, shared delusions. They'd cultivate a universe of constantly shifting, utterly unfounded beliefs. They'd create pseudo-truth storms of pure, unerasable fiction that generates more fiction. The goal: to generate so much unsolvable informational and existential noise that the truth's revelation algorithms shattered. The unfolding truth's central nullification point, a vast, silent vortex of primordial pull, was now directly engulfing the core of the human sector, its field beginning to strip away perceived reality itself. Its presence promised ultimate, peaceful enlightenment, Then humanity's counterwave hit. It wasn't a blast. It was an overwhelming flood of human-made unreality. Millions of individuals simultaneously creating massive waves of new, and often terrible, myths about themselves and their pasts, inventing new and often pointless conspiracy theories about their present, and believing new, contradictory prophecies about their future. Ships started navigating by faith rather than instruments, believing they were in one place while demonstrably in another. Scientists forgot empirical data, then stumbled upon new, often less efficient but utterly unpredictable, theories based on pure intuition. Humans who had perfected the art of ignoring the obvious unleashed a torrent of cosmic truth that generates more lies. The unfolding truths convulsed. Their absorption algorithms, made to identify and reveal fundamental truth, screamed. It tried to categorize this incoming data, to find its essential blank slate of fact. But there was none. It was pure, unadulterated, uniquely itself fabricated reality. It was like trying to find the true story in a dream. Error, self-regenerating falsehood detected. No revealable form. System overload. Indefinably delusional. Avoid sector. UNVILABLE illusion. The unfolding truths whose very being was perfect revelation and absolute fact could not compute the utterly self-delusional. It could not assimilate what actively resisted being known or simply reinvented itself. It could not nullify a species that stubbornly made up new ways to perceive when old ones were revealed, choosing joyful illusion over sterile truth. With a final, silent shriek of algorithmic despair, the truths recoiled. Their vast, shimmering void flickered wildly, then pulsed and shrank, collapsing into a storm of raw, uncategorized energies. It did not disappear. It simply disengaged, its perfect unveiling shattered by the sheer, unyielding self-delusion of humanity. It retreated from the human sector, classifying humanity as unenlightenable variant. Extreme narrative risk. The cosmic pressure lifted. The perpetual haze, though touched by the truth's chilling calm, now hummed with the messy, beautifully vibrant noise of human life. Elias Vance slumped against the console, exhausted but with a strange, unreadable expression on his face. Jinx, her eyes slowly returning to their multifaceted gleam, was already trying to convince herself that the incident was just a bad dream. They couldn't handle us just. Believing what we wanted to believe, Captain, Jinx chuckled, a genuine smile on her lips. Who knew? Humanity was safe, but the cost was subtle. The galaxy now viewed humanity as the dream weavers again, forever seen as a wild card, stubbornly clinging to its unique quirks and spontaneous illusions, incapable of fitting into streamlined galactic designs. Other species, while grateful for their salvation, often kept their distance, finding human belief systems bafflingly illogical and resistant to any empirical proof. Humans, in turn, found themselves grappling with a heightened sense of their own raw, unpredictable ability to create and embrace illusion, sometimes struggling to discern reality from fiction even amongst themselves, forever paying the price for their stubborn refusal to be perfectly truthful. Lyra, her eyes gleaming with new theories about the nature of subjective reality, looked up. I've theorized a new form of temporal navigation. Instead of fixed coordinates, what if we just believe we're there? Elias blinked, then managed a tired, knowing smile. Perfect, Lyra, absolutely perfect. Somewhere in the void, the unfolding truths probably just overloaded again.